Inshallah. The next question is for Brother Abu Khadeejah. The questioner asks, has Bilaal Phillips been advised? Did he refuse to leave his principles that are contrary to the truth? Is he insisting upon it? What advice would you give to those who knew him and learned some of the deen from him, such as from his books of Arabic, Tawheed, etc.?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Then this topic with Bilaal Phillips has been covered in the main lecture. It's also been covered on our website in a 40-page rad upon Bilaal Phillips, quoting his errors and his mistakes and the times and places when he was advised. And so there's no need to really go into too much detail with regard to this individual. However, it must be said with regard to him and others like him, that it is not, if one was to claim, or if he is claiming that he was not advised, then we say that first of all, if a person commits a bid'ah or a sin which is open, then it is not a condition of the Sharia nor of the Sunnah that he be advised in private and his affair left alone up until he responds. As Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala and other than him have mentioned. As Shaykh al-Islam mentions in his tafsir of Surah An-Nur, he mentions that if the sin or the bid'ah is done publicly, then its recompense must be done in public as well, in accordance with conceivable justice. For this reason, it is not considered backbiting to talk about the one who openly publicizes his innovations and wickedness, as has been reported on Hassan al-Basri and others. This is because when one publicizes, meaning his error, he justifies himself to be punished by the Muslims. And then he continues, Shaykh al-Islam, up until he mentions the errors of the people of bid'ah and how they should be dishonored and how they should be warned against. So as for Abu Amina, Bilaal Phillips and other than him, then their errors are public and their bid'ah is public. They did not retract and they still have not retracted, even if it was the case that they felt that they had not been advised, even though this is a lie upon us and upon the brothers. Even if this was not the case, then he has had over a year to retract from the time that we first advised him, and even from the time that he first felt that he was being attacked, and still to this day he has not retracted the matters that he had mentioned both in manhaj and in aqidah. From amongst the issues regarding to his errors, then with regard to his book Fundamentals of Tawheed, then he mentions in there with regard to the rulers, he mentions that those who are able to correct them should be corrected, and as for the one who is not able, then at the very least he should openly speak out against their evil, and they should be hated for the sake of Allah. And this is what he mentions with regard to the average person, that this is his position towards the Muslim rulers. As for the position of the Salaf, like Ibn Mubarak, as he mentions, and Imam al-Lalakai mentions in his Sharh Usul Ittiqad Ahlus-Sunnah wal Jama'ah upon the Aqidah of Imam al-Bukhari, that Imam Bukhari mentions that Ibn Mubarak said, quoting on Fudail ibn Iyad, or Fudail ibn Iyad quoting on Ibn Mubarak, that we make dua for the Muslim rulers and for their rectification, and we do not make dua against them. Imam Barbahari in his Sharh Sunnah mentions that as for the person of Sunnah, Ahlus-Sunnah, they make dua for the Muslim ruler. As for the Kharji and Ahlul Bid'ah, then they speak ill or they make dua against the Muslim ruler. As for some of his other errors, then his praises of Ahlul Bid'ah, like Mawdudi and Sayyid Qutb and other than them, Hassan al-Banna, and praising them to a degree that he regards them to be mujaddid, amongst the mujaddidun, as he quotes Hassan al-Banna to be from amongst the mujaddidun, and Mawdudi and other than him. And this is of course a severe error on his behalf, and his praise of Ikhwan al-Muflisin and other than them. So he needs to retract from those statements, and this is not a matter of emotion, nor is it a matter of any personal hatred, and nor is it any matter of racism or tribalism or anything other than that. If a person makes an error, regardless of his error, if his error is open and he knows it's an error, which he does, then it is upon him to retract. Even in the matters of aqidah, he has not retracted his errors, like for example claiming that as for the sun rising in the west in the hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari, when the Messenger of Allah ﷺ mentioned from the signs of the hour that the sun will rise from the west, then he mentions that this is not something which is literal, but rather something which is metaphorical. And this what in reality means that the earth will change its axis and start rotating the other way. This type of speech is not permissible except with the text and with nas from the book, from the source from the book and the sunnah, and he has not come with this. So at least this is upon him to retract from those kind of statements. Furthermore, his cooperation with the likes of Al-Muntada al-Islami and the likes of his praise of Safar al-Hawali and Salman al-Awda, and his claiming that as for the Shia and the Tablighis and the Ikhwanis and the Salafis, then all of these names are impermissible. Rather than name that there is no such thing as Sunni or Shia, but rather we are all Muslims. And this is not from the way of the people of Sunnah, because the people of Sunnah have always made tamyiz between them and the people of Bid'ah. So Ahlus-Sunnah wal Jama'ah have many names that distinguish themselves from Ahlul Bid'ah, like Ahlul Hadith and Salafi and Ahlul Athar, Ashabul Hadith, and other than that from the various titles that have been given to the people of Sunnah and the people of the Jama'ah. So it is upon the likes of Bilaal Phillips, without becoming emotional about this individual, who aslan is not an individual who should have been given the platform in the first place, as one of the brothers correctly pointed out up until recently, that it was not him who regarded himself to be a Salafi, but rather it was others who regarded him to be Salafi. And his cooperation with the likes of the Qutubi and the Sururi Jam'iyyat and Jama'at, like for example his cooperation with Jam'iyya Ihya Minhaj al-Sunnah of Great Britain, and his praise of the likes of Ali at-Tamimi and Zarabozo and other than them, and his cooperation and working with the likes of Yasir Qadi and other than them, I don't know which is worse, him working with Yasir Qadi or Yasir Qadi working with him. Either way, he's an individual who needs to retract from his errors. And it's as simple as that. He has attacked the Salafis, he has cursed them, those who tried to correct him and give him sincere advice. So he needs to retract from those statements. It's not an issue of who corrected him or who did not correct him. The issue is that he has erred. Shaykh Ubaid al-Jabari, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, also mentioned his errors and counted him amongst those people who promote the Ahlul Bid'ah and promote Hizbiyah and other than that. And Shaykh Ubaid al-Jabari warned against him also. So he needs to retract from these errors, and up until he does, then there is no cooperation with him. Rather, what we have noticed from him is more arrogance and more becomes more proud of the mistakes that he has made, and he is not retracting from any of them to our knowledge. And if he has retracted in a closed room, then since his errors are open and in public, as Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah mentioned, then his retraction should be open and public. And none of us should be too arrogant or proud to say that we have been corrected or that we made an error. So this is in brief what I have to say about Bilaal Phillips, without wasting too much time upon this individual. Other than that, you can go to the website salafipublications.com, and you'll find a 40-page document explaining his errors and the way that his manhaj has erred. Jazakumullah khair.